Thank you so much for joining us.
The final touches on your 2023 crop plans now. And we thought it might be the right time to explain some things that will surely help you to grow a more profitable crop, knowing that there's so many huge challenges that you're facing. So today we'll try and help you to address three of those challenges of drought and limited moisture, the incredibly high costs of fertilizer, and helping you to grow healthier crops with the same or possibly even reduced input costs. Everyone is selling some kind of humic acid products, and they're often sterilized in processing. And in this case, sterilized is a bad thing. Some are even touting that there are several species of bacteria and other forms of microbiology in it. But just remember that Lot 125 has literally hundreds of different species, over 1,000 actually. So I checked the drought statistics yesterday. That's top of mind for most of us. This is how it looks as of February 7th. As you can see, there's a lot of red on this map. Red is exceptional and extreme drought. That's all over Kansas and Nebraska and nearby states, some in Washington, Nevada, and Utah. And a lot of yellow, which is moderate and severe drought, and around those areas, and in Florida and the Great Lakes states. So I thought it might be helpful to revisit some research that we did a few years ago. The study was done at an independent research firm, the Irrigation Research Foundation in Yuma, Colorado. We wanted to have some data to prove what we already knew, and that is that Lot 125 actually does help the crops to utilize scarce water more efficiently. We reduced the irrigation application from 24 inches in the check down to 18 inches, and we treated the corn with 4 and 8 gallon applications just to see what would happen. The results were even more dramatic than we expected. With 25% less water and the use of Lot 125 at the two rates, we actually increased corn production by as much as 40 bushels. Gotta move. So when I'm, as a salesman, when I'm describing Lot 125 to first-time users or people that are not familiar with this, I think it's helpful to say that it's made basically of 3 components. Lot 125 is a rich soup of hundreds of different species of microbes, mega millions of these little critters in every gallon. Lot 125 is a very available carbon source from the humic acid, since that's actually the most prevalent crop fertility need, carbon. And it also has a generous helping of our highly refined fulvic acid, that literally gathers up the nutrients and shoves them into the plants. What's wrong with that, huh? So this describes many of the things that happen. I'm behind here, what? Many of the things that happen with Lot 125, without going into detail about, where are we? Well, here we go. You might just say that Lot 125 makes the nutrients in the soil more available, and it helps the roots develop much more quickly. This allows the plants to get off to a better start. And with a more extensive root system, it does a much better job of finding and utilizing water and nutrients, especially for anything that's in short supply. And it also improves the overall environment in the soil by inhibiting disease pathogens and improving soil structure and aeration. So back to the irrigation deficit study, you can see on this chart that when we used less water but applied Lot 125, we saw a big boost in yield. 30 bushels more with 4 gallons of Lot 125 and 40 bushels more with 8 gallons. That's a pretty dramatic increase. And when we did this study, the price of corn was about $7 a bushel. And this chart shows the numbers using that price. This chart uses all the economics of 2012. You may have seen these numbers in some of our literature or on the Research Foundation's website. But if we use updated numbers for your 2023 crop year planning, it's not that different from 2012, and it still shows a significant increase in dollars per acre. $100 per acre at 4 gallons, and $130 with 8 gallons is a significant difference in any crop year and a significantly reduced watering scheme. These plants were selected and pulled out of the ground by the farmer's own crop consulting. I had nothing to do with it. He knew I was coming and he was excited about the results that they were seeing. This farmer was using 8 gallons of Lot 125 on half of the field and comparing the two halves. I don't think any of these plants were seeing much of a deficit of anything. It was well maintained, well managed farm. So even in a more optimal situation, you can see how much more extensive the root system was where it was treated with Lot 125. And the ears are more advanced and full. Proof is in the pudding, huh? So let's move on to soil fertility and making the best of what you're applying, as well as utilizing more of the soil's bank account of stored fertilizer. I'm going to talk specifically about phosphate utilization, but it's basically the same for all nutrients that your crop needs to be healthy and robust. When you think about today's cost of $11.52 and $10.34 and really all of your fertilizer needs, you need to do everything you can to maximize the usage of what's already in your soil, in addition to the fertilizer that you're applying to the crop. So I asked our lead scientist, Dr. Srinivas Makam, if he could send me some data and research that I could present to you that shows the effect of Lot 125 on phosphorus availability. Dr. Makam said, it's widely known that Humega and Lot 125 make a tremendous difference in making and keeping phosphorus and all nutrients available to the plants. And the extra Polvix that is in Lot 125 transports the available phosphorus and all nutrients into the plants. Well, I said, yeah, it's widely known to those of us that have been using Lot 125, but can you give me some data or at least a more scientific explanation as to why a farmer should be using Lot 125 to help stretch his fertilizer costs, especially now when the prices of fertilizer have gotten so high? So this is what I got from him. And you can read it with me. Phosphorus is a reactive element in soil and exists as insoluble inorganic phosphorus and insoluble organic phosphorus. The concentration of soluble phosphorus in the soil is low as a result. This unavailability creates a phosphorus deficiency, severely restricting crop growth and yield. So it's largely insoluble. If it's not soluble, then it's not available to the crop. So it's common practice again to apply phosphate fertilizer to the soil, even though there may already be a significant amount already there. I mean, no one wants to see a phosphate deficiency in the crop. That really hurts the yield and quality of the crop. So there's a video attached to this, and I'm not going to take the time to play it now. It's kind of interesting to take a worldview and a futuristic view of what is predicted to happen with phosphate demand. But phosphorus, as you probably know, it's present in every living cell. And this is essential in the same way as water or oxygen in all crops grown for food. It ensures optimal growth and maturity of the crops. It helps to capture and transform the sun's energy into chemical energy, which obviously is photosynthesis, which maize uses in its development of corn. And it gives crops the energy required to extract all nutrients from the soil. And again, if you want to, this is a video, a nice video that was done by Columbia University. You can Google it, or if you can't find it, let me know and I'll see that you get a copy of it. It's kind of interesting, but for another day. You may have seen this slide before in some of the USDA literature, and I put it here just as a reminder of the importance of microbiology in the soil food web. When I was in ag school and when I was a crop consultant for a farmers cooperative, I knew that we had to put fertilizer or some organic material in the soil, and that some kind of magic had to happen before these added components were of any use to the plants. They're not usable to the plant in the form that we put it on. Well, now I know that this magic is microbes, duh. So what do soil microorganisms do? They process the fertilizers and make them available to plants. The bacteria in it stores up nitrogen for plant use. The fungi hold calcium and phosphorus for plant use. Microorganisms improve soil structure by adding glues and opening the soils up. Actinomycetes release antibiotics to protect plants. They release enzymes to buffer toxins and pH problems. And they supply plant growth regulators to induce the proliferation of roots. It's all about having lots of roots that are there to soak up what's available. So we improve soil with beneficial microorganisms. Fertile soils have a high diversity of microorganisms. And Lot 125 is really the only humic acid product that contains this concentration of microorganisms. Microorganisms are the life force of the soil. That's when you talk about live soil, it's those little critters that we're talking about. So as I said earlier, inorganic phosphorus applied as fertilizers is fixed in the soil, is tied up by metal cations such as iron, aluminum, and calcium. Microorganisms such as phosphate solubilizing bacteria, we'll say PSMs, are critical in the natural phosphorus cycle. They hydrolyze organic and inorganic phosphorus compounds from insoluble or fixed compounds. So the addition of Lot 125 is quite simply assists in phosphorus solubilization. So now I want to talk a little bit about Polvix. I've mentioned several times that our fulvic acid that we call Polvix, we put a good helping of that in Lot 125, but it's also a very good standalone product. And our manufacturer has done a considerable amount of research on this. They call it the cellular infusion technology. But Polvix, our fulvic acid is a fulvic ionic mineral complex that had its origin millions of years ago in areas where lush vegetation was once abundant. Through the ages, this vegetation was compressed deep into the earth and evolved as humates or humic substances. Today, veins of this humic material can be found in specific locations around the world. Locked in this humic substance is a mineral-rich material known as fulvic acid. Fulvic acid is highly bioavailable to make the formation more bioavailable, and has shown the ability to penetrate, feed, detoxify, enhance, and protect all living cells. BioFlora discovered humate veins within the US, extracts this material, and isolates the fulvic acid in a patented, unique approach to obtain a pure form of fulvic acid. So features of benefits, I'm not going to read through all these, but they call it a nanomolecule. That the size enhances the efficiency of nutrient uptake and cellular protection. They even did some studies, I don't have it here, how use of Polvix actually sets up the plant to resist stress, heat, and moisture, and any kind of stress that the plant may be undergoing. It toughens it up somehow and makes the plants resistant to stress, if you will. I talked about nutrient absorption. It's a powerful antioxidant. Mixes with all chemicals. It's an extremely good surfactant. It can be actually used as a spread or sticker surfactant, but you have to be careful with that because it can make the pesticide work even better. So we do have some research to prove what I'm saying. During 5 or 6 years, we partnered with an independent third-party research institute in Nebraska, eastern Nebraska, to study the effects of our signature brand Polvix when formulated with starter fertilizers, fungicides, and herbicides and applied to corn and soybeans. Following are the results for crops treated with Polvix. And again, I'm not going to read through. I'm about at my time limit, and the gong show is going to happen. But just at a quart per acre, and they went up to 5 gallons just to see what would happen. But at a quart per acre was the optimum, and that's not very much to just put on with your starter mix. So I would definitely consider doing this because just with Polvix alone, and without the extra goodies that we have in lot 125, increase in yields, both corn and soybeans, and increase the feed value. So obviously we were able to conclude when starter fertilizers, fungicides, and herbicides were formulated with Polvix, the effectiveness of the product is greatly enhanced. It's also important to note that the increased yields in treated fields resulted in obviously maximizing economic returns. So what's wrong with this? You're going to enhance crops, increase production, and help profitability with Polvix, and probably even more so with the use of lot 125. So Jason, I've used up all the time that we attended to use, and then some. There's another website, another webinar on our website that explains Polvix and seaweed. I didn't even mention seaweed, our 3 flagship products, but I just wanted you to know that this component of lot 125 is a standalone application at just a quart per acre, made a significant increase in yields. So with that, there's me with the cool hat. You're welcome to call me at any time if you have any questions about this or any of our products. And please, if you haven't already, check out our website, BioLynceus.net. Find the agriculture button, and if you have trouble finding that, because we have other products and it's easy to get lost in there, but let us know if you need any help finding the website, finding the agriculture section. And with that, Jason, do we have any interaction from the crowd?
Yeah, we sure do. We're going to go ahead and phase over here to the Q&A portion of today's session. And yeah, we do have a couple questions. One I can answer, and then there's another one that Mike brought up here, and he's going to refer back to one of your slides earlier. So we'll go ahead and talk about that. And Mike, we may have you unmute here to go ahead and ask that question. First question, though, is, are we going to record this session? Yes, we are. We're recording the session. So for those of you who are looking for our playback, we will certainly be able to get that sent out to you very shortly. So thanks for that question. And then Mike, let's see here. Mike, I'm going to see if you can unmute. Your question was, what was the application rates and timing in that last slide? So Mike, maybe you can unmute for us and then just pop in and say, hey, what slide was that?
Okay, thank you, Jason. Can you hear me?
Absolutely, you're coming through.
Okay, Scott, hi, Scott. I was curious back on one of the earlier slides where it showed the corn root mass in the back of the pickup. It showed 8 gallons of lot 125 being used. Was that all in one application, or was that a seasonal total that was utilized, and how was it applied, I guess?
This was all put on early in the season through the center. No, wait a minute, that's not true. That was his other field. It was half of the pivot, and it was put on all at planting. So he broadcasted on half of the field. Normally he puts it on through the sprinkler, but he wanted to get a good comparison on this field for whatever reason. And that was a little surprising because it was a pretty darn good producing field to start with. So I was excited to see the difference on a good field. So you can imagine what it does in a tough field.
Right. So broadcast application right after planting.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Thank you.
We don't see, I don't have any research that proves or supports this, but we're not seeing out in the field anyway, we're not seeing noticeable differences in how you put it on. You can put it on through the pivot. People are dropping it all in with the seed. There's nothing toxic about it. Just so you get it on, if you're going to split apply it, I rationalize that might be moderately better, but get it on early so those microbes and everything is doing their job early on. And if you can give it another shot up to mid-season, that's probably as good or better.
Agreed. Okay, thank you.
You bet. Thanks, Mike.
Okay, excellent. So again, we're gonna just go ahead and leave it open. If you guys want to do chat, that would be great. Other than that, if you guys have any other questions, feel free to just unmute your line at this time. This is not a standard webinar. I intentionally made this a meeting so you guys have control. So if you want, go ahead and unmute and just ask whatever questions you might have. And if we don't have anyone unmuting or raising their hand here to go ahead and ask any more questions, then we can just go ahead and wrap it up. So Scott, what I'll have you do is go ahead and pivot all the way down to the last slide, or the one slide that has your phone number on it. That way people will know how to contact you in the event that they want to. And likewise, also, if you guys want to just go ahead and reach back out to the email that invited you to this webinar, if you just want to hit reply to that, we'll certainly make sure that your message gets back over to Scott at that time. So again, thank you everyone for coming out. We like making these sessions really short and really compact and get a lot of information in at one time. So again, thanks everyone for coming. Really appreciate it. And you guys take care and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.